On today's show, it's the fall movie preview. Will I pick the worst babysitter in the world to be my most anticipated movie? Will Perry love the nun? Will Rocha take Bumblebee? Is that really what he's going to say? Movie talk starts right now.
How dare you?
There's no way.
Sir, how dare you?
You're going to actually take Bumblebee at number one, is there? Well, that's what we're about to find out. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special Labor Day edition of Collider Movie Talk. Hope you're enjoying some time off. If you got it, and if not, well, you're working on Labor Day. You are a better person than this snapper. That is Perri Nemiroff. Over here is John Rocha, and we're going to expend a little bit of labor here today, some energy, telling you guys our favorite, or at least what we think is going to be our favorite movies from the fall of 2018. Now, some of us are lucky enough to be attending film festivals upcoming, and we get into a lot of press screenings, so we see some movies super early, some movies a little early, and other movies we're going to be just like everybody else, waiting in line for an opening weekend ticket to these hotly anticipated flicks. And we want to hear from you guys, so please let us know at any time, what are some of your most anticipated movies of the fall? Here's how it's going to work for us panelists here today is that we're just going to give an honorable mention, a movie that, look, we're excited about, it just couldn't quite crack our top three, and then we're going to go around the horn, each one of us, we're going to say our third most anticipated movie, number two, and what's after number two? Well, you guessed it, number one in your programs, number one in your hearts, the movie that we want to see the most. Will it involve a transforming dog named Bumblebee? Okay, sorry, I don't want to give away the ending to anybody just yet. John Rocha, Perri Nemiroff, this is a very tough exercise for anybody, regardless of what you do as your job or your profession, or if you actually are an accredited movie reviewer, a film pundit of note, as both of you are. Not the easiest task in the world to say, all these movies are coming out, and I only get to talk about 4 of them.
No, it's not. It's not fair. I wanted my list to be longer, but then this show would be too long, and that would make too many people here unhappy. So I managed to whittle it down to my 4. But I feel like my rule wound up being just based on feeling. Whatever I get most pumped about when I'm scrolling through that list, whether it's an Oscar contender or maybe something that some suspect might not be very good at all, that's what I'm going with.
I like that. It's whatever catches your eye at the time. Now, by contrast, John Rocha, you're known as a man who likes to flout that he sees all these independent movies. You see a lot of foreign films. You're a big fan of auteurs. You love the independent vibe of cinema, yet you also love lining up to go see your Transformers movies, your DC movies, your Marvels, your Disneys, your Star Warses, all of that thing. So how was this list-making process?
This was actually really difficult because there are a lot. I mean, we're rounding into award season. When you round into award season, this is when I get the most excited. Look, the summer season is great. It's a lot of fun, enjoyable films, great stuff. But these are the films that usually come out in the latter half of the year that remind you why you love film, because of the exploration of the relationships, the human stuff that's going on in these movies, and they kind of expand your mind and open you up into certain areas of the world or cultures that you might not have seen, or relationships that you might not have thought.
Sounds like you're teeing yourself up for Bumblebee right now.
I'm just saying, those kinds of things. However, that being said, listen, I looked at the 12. I had 12, like Perri. I had 12 movies on this list. Paring it down to 4 was not easy, and I had to bump some of those independent features off because I'm like, which is the most anticipated versus something like I can't wait to see it versus I'm like, oh, this will be fun when it comes out. It'll be fun to see that. So there's like 2 separate mindsets I have there, right? Like I'm gonna go and see an independent movie because I want to see what's here. I'm gonna go see this other movie because I can't wait to get in there and see it. So
feels like with every movie season, we start to say that at the beginning. We're like, oh, this is why I love movies. This is like the beginning of the summer season. No. This is why I love going to see the movies. It makes me feel like a kid. Then we get tired of the blockbusters, then we get excited for these. But there's plenty of blockbusters coming out in the fall. There's some great Oscar contenders that have already come out this year. And we're going to kick off our fall preview without any further hubbub, hyper hoopla. And I'm going to go to Perri Nemiroff first for your honorable mention film. This is something that
it was because I interrupted his beautiful speech, wasn't it? Being demoted right now.
Okay, both the words beautiful and speech are questionable in the context with which you use them.
All right. My honorable mention, and this is the one that I was hinting at when I say that, I don't think many are considering this a potential smash quite like I am, but I've got to go with Hellfest because I love the horror genre, but as a subgenre within horror, slasher is hands down my favorite, and I freaking love amusement parks. I love amusement parks, and I love amusement parks during Halloween time when they're all transformed and they're turned into creepy mazes, and as sick as it sounds, the idea of a maze or a theme park being filled with people dressed up as scary movie characters, and one of them being the real deal. That just sounds like such a genius, late September, October kind of release to me. And the trailers have looked like so much fun. And I also just really love this ensemble of young actors. So Hellfest is my honorable mention.
Well, I think it's safe to say that honorable mention will not be appearing on either one of our lists.
Nope.
Because I enjoyed the trailer for what it was. It didn't blow me away or say, Mark, this is a movie you need to go see. But we know Perri has a soft spot in her heart for horror flicks, so certainly not that shocking to see it on her list.
Well, it scares me when a poster says from an executive producer of The Walking Dead, not the executive producer of The Walking Dead. That's an important distinction. So to me, where were you at in this executive producing chain to put
It's
that
Gail
on
Ann
the
Hurd.
list? Oh, right. So there he is. Gail Ann Hurd. That's really nice. She does a lot of things, actually. So that actually maybe turns it around. But I'm saying that promotional, from an executive, that gets me a little worried. But you're right. This is not something I would run to, and certainly it is Perri's brand, and certainly Perri's wheelhouse, these kinds of things. But you can make a lot of things really scary out of a theme park. Let me tell you, having worked at one, let me tell you something. You don't even need to be at night. Let me just tell you that right now. It can be quite scary in the daytime.
Sure, a lot of people enjoyed seeing you at the theme park while you had your time there. I'm sure they miss you. You ever think about coming back and doing like a special limited engagement appearance?
Absolutely. Coming back as the Wand Keeper at Harry Potter, 1 week only. Come to see me do 2 shows a day. Just 2 shows a day.
That's why I won't do 2 shows a night anymore. I won't do it. All right, John Rocha, what is your honorable mention before we get into our top 3?
Well, it is the independent feature Aquaman from Warner Brothers in DC.
I've heard of it.
No, this one I couldn't quite put it in the top 3 list of events, but it is one I am anticipating greatly after coming out of Comic-Con, after coming out of Hall H, seeing those 4 minutes of footage, extra footage other than the trailer. I actually enjoyed the footage more than the trailer, to be honest with you. And I think there's a lot that James Wan is going to do with this movie that's going to surprise a lot of people. It's going to make people pretty happy. And some of the early reviews of this screening that happened this week, they said, this is a Phase 1 MCU movie. If you like that, you'll like this movie. So that makes me even more excited because I like Iron Man. I like the first Thor. I like the Captain America, the first Avenger. I liked those movies that laid the groundwork for the MCU that we see now. So to me, that excites me. If you can just hit that bar, I think you're going to be fine going into Wonder Woman 84, going into Shazam. We'll be just fine, and we'll push some Superman versus Batman, in my opinion, which I didn't like, and Suicide Squad and Justice League will be a thing of the past, and this will be a whole new approach for DCEU. Plus, I like Jason Momoa. I liked you bringing in Nicole Kidman. I like Tamura Morrison being part of this, and the visuals that James Wan seems to have captured here just hit all the right buttons for me. For a character that a lot of people have always been yeah, it's Aquaman. They've actually made him badass, and that's pretty amazing to do.
You say Tamira Morrison?
Yeah.
Ah, good. Django Fett. Right?
Yeah, Django Fett.
Okay,
That's right.
Well, you didn't get Aquaman into my top 4, but I'm excited to see it. Perri, was Aquaman a consideration for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's on my mind. I think, a lot of my list might hint at the immediacy of certain movies, and I feel like, you kind of put it out there at the very beginning of this. Right out of the summer when we had so many big spectacle pieces, the movies that I sense that I'm being drawn to are largely horror or things that are a little smaller scale, I guess I would say. But I'll bet you anything that once November rolls around and I see a bunch of the things on my list, I'm going to be rooting for Aquaman. I mean, I have been since the day I heard about it because I'm such a big James Wan fan.
Well, that's really the issue here with my honorable mention is that haven't seen a lick of footage from this movie, and I'm very trepidatious about it because a movie like this can go either way. We've seen the lead actors be some of the funniest people on the planet Earth, and then other times the movies just tend not to work out that well. But I could not leave off from my list the pairing and the reuniting of the greats from Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, and more importantly, Step Brothers, John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell. Holmes and Watson, Watson and Holmes. It's a Sherlock Holmes spoof. I need to see them interact one more time. I don't know if it's going to be funny at all, but it's something that if I'm looking at all the movies, like Rocha said, a lot of independent cinema, a lot of blockbusters, and this one, it could be atrocious. And I might take this back as soon as I see the first trailer and just be like, the magic is just not there anymore. But I believe in Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly and that teaming up. I hope it's good. Am I out of my mind?
No, I don't think so. Because, Step Brothers is one of those ones where I saw it the first time and I'm like, this is awful. How does anyone find this funny? And then I started watching it again. and again and again. And now I get a kick out of it. Every time I watch it, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a scenario where it has the same effect.
Yeah, well, let's hope it does have that effect.
Well, he wrote Tropic Thunder, which I really enjoyed. The director of the film, Ed Cohen, he wrote Tropic Thunder. He's worked with Will Ferrell, so there is a relationship here. It might work out. I'd be more confident with it if Adam McKay, who is a frequent Will Ferrell collaborator, was directing this. But it reminds me of a film from the 80s with Michael Caine and Ben Kingsley called Without a Clue, where, Michael Caine played Sherlock Holmes. He was an actor playing Sherlock Holmes. Watson was actually the one solving the crimes. The problem was no one liked Ben Kingsley, so his character, so he had to use this actor to play Sherlock Holmes so that he could solve the crimes and have someone to give credit to. So I like when they mess with the Holmes Watson stuff. I like the 7% Solution that Nicole Williamson was in the 70s as well. So I like when they mess around with this. And the Gene Wilder one, what Sherlock Holmes's less intelligent brother or whatever it was called, which is really funny
Certainly
too.
are a detective when it comes to Sherlock Holmes.
I just like his stuff, yeah.
Very impressive work. Well, those are our honorable mentions. Now we're going to get into our top 3, the most anticipated fall movies that we have. Get ready to agree. Disagree, please keep it classy in the comments section. And I'm going to kick off with my number 3 pick. My most anticipated in the bronze medal spot is Beautiful Boy. It's got a Oscar pedigree kind of cast with Timothée Chalamet and Steve Carell going back and forth based on a true story and a very involved true story. Felix Van Groningen, I believe is his name, directing this movie. It's playing at all the festivals and it's getting rave reviews. And judging from the trailer, this looks like a movie that's going to really affect you emotionally. It's going to tug at the heartstrings. It's going to be tough to watch. Maybe some sweet, touching moments as well. So Beautiful Boy certainly should be on a list of everybody's. Perri, Rocha, I don't know if it's on y'all's, but Beautiful Boy, is it something that you need to see this fall?
When you work across from Jeff Snyder, he can't stop talking about this damn movie. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm ready to see it. Let it come out already so I can just see it and be able to talk with Snyder about it, because he gets emotional every time he watches that trailer.
He's not just calling you a beautiful boy?
Oh, hello.
My beautiful boy, Rocha.
I wouldn't mind if he stroked my hair every once in a while. But no, I mean, I've seen him get real emotional watching this trailer. So he's putting the anticipation inside of me as well. So I think once we see that movie, I'll have something to talk to him about.
Perri Nemiroff.
This was one of the ones that I wanted to put in my little TIFF grid first because it's easily one of my most anticipated, just not my top 3 of the rest of the year. I'm just this huge fan right now of Timothée Chalamet. I think he, at this point, has done no wrong in my eyes. And I'm really curious to see if he can continue to ride that wave and maybe even wind up at the Oscars again this year. So I'm curious to see how this one turns out. But that trailer was a really good first impression.
All right. Well, I'm curious to see what your number 3 pick was, Miss Nemiroff.
My number 3 wound up being The Hate You Give. And I wouldn't say that even last week this was on my radar to such an extent, but I'm going to cover the junket at TIFF. So I started to read up on it, look into the cast and everything. Of course, I watched and rewatched the trailer a whole bunch of times, but I also started the audiobook for this. And I'm only, I've barely scratched the surface of the book, but that is one heck of a compelling main character and the situation she finds herself in, and, what it means to her in the immediacy of this story, but also what it means with everything going on in the world right now. Yeah. And I also do think that Amanda Stenberg is one to be watching out for now. I was talking a little bit about it on Movie Talk on Thursday, but I covered Hunger Games pretty obsessively, and that was one of her first big screen roles. And even though Rue only had a teeny tiny portion of the first Hunger Games movies, that's probably the role that I think reverberated throughout the movie and even the next movies more so than anything else. And just ever since then, she is delivering great work time and time again. And this is something that could put her on the map in a completely different way.
Called The Hate You Give. Rocha, you going to be getting any hate for your number 3 selection?
Oh, gosh, I hope not. It's Ralph Breaks the Internet. That's my number 3 selection. That's a sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, which is my favorite Disney movie, period of all time.
Really?
Yeah, there's something about that character that really appealed to me on a personal level, and the journey he goes on, I just found so much to connect to, and John C. Reilly's voiceover work is something extraordinary about that movie that people do not talk about enough, and Sarah Silverman is the unsung hero with her voiceover work as Penelope in that movie. Really incredible stuff, and the journey they go on and what they talk about, what they realize by the end of the movie, what he realizes by the end of the movie. I'm like, how do you make a sequel to this? You make it bigger, and you go into the internet, what he's going into, like that whole hub of everything that he's going to experience with Vanellope, where does that lead to? We saw the trailers already. I mean, that princess scene alone, that's enough to get me in. And the new one that they released where Marita is talking in her Scottish accent, her deep Scottish accent, and no one can understand what she's saying. It's just so brilliant. So I know that this film is going to be full of those little moments that, once again, do the brilliance of making fun to a degree of the subject matter they're making fun of, but never losing the respect for it. I think that's a really difficult tightrope to walk, and it seems like this is going to do it. Oh, sorry. Oh. And because Ralph Breaks the Internet is my one, Ralph, Wreck-It Ralph is my favorite Disney movie. I'm looking forward to this sequel and hoping they knock it out of the park.
Obviously, a personal connection from Rocha to Ralph, because Rocha for a long time was stuck in a video game.
It's true.
It's tough to get it out of him. I believe you can catch that full conversation on your one-on-one with Christian.
That's right. You'll feel I like to.
Nobody has the Sisters Brothers on their list.
Oh.
Because it's just, it's the fall season of John C. Reilly.
Good point.
Making some really interesting choices with that career. I mean, Holmes and Watson obviously going to be the best movies coming out this fall, but we'll see if it's his all-time greatest.
He's the Adam Smith of actors. He's constantly there. He's always going to give you a good performance, and he never gives you any crap what he's
Adam
doing.
Smith. Can you give us a little refresher on exactly who Adam Smith is?
Yeah, he's the one who's going to finish 8th in the fantasy league.
Oh,
come on.
Oh, no,
Come on. He's upset now.
Wow. All right. And Rocha's shot just got blurry for some reason. Probably going to continue for the rest of the show. Well, I'm going to give you guys my number 2 most anticipated movie now, and that is If Beale Street Could Talk, directed by Barry Jenkins. And you talk about any kind of source material that's based on James Baldwin is going to get people talking, not only Academy Award, but also just powerhouse of a film. And then you combine that with what Barry Jenkins showed us with Moonlight. I think this is going to be a real special movie. And I think that if you look at Moonlight in the context of it won Best Picture, yes, it did win Best Picture a couple of years ago. I think that If Beale Street Could Talk, a worthy follow-up to Moonlight. It's hard to do that, and it's hard to pin that on a filmmaker to say, well, your next movie, is that going to be? I think If Beale Street Could Talk has all the right notes. It's such a heartfelt story, and from seeing that trailer that was released about everything that this relationship is going to go through, whether it's a jail cell or whether it's outside in the world back in that time, and I think it's going to have a lot of messages that harken to society even in 2018 and beyond. So I think If Beale Street Could Talk, certainly one of the ones that when we were looking at the TIFF movies, that was one of the first ones that I made sure to check off, Perri.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm dying to see this one. And, obviously after Moonlight, I would want to see anything that Barry Jenkins directed next. But with that first trailer in particular, because I really do, I love a fun montage-style trailer any day. But when a trailer gives you the opportunity to just live in a scene and then experience the atmosphere of a movie before, let's say, telling you, oh, this, and this is going to happen, I really appreciate that. And I think they did that very, very well in that first trailer.
Yeah, sometimes movies release clips and you're like, oh, okay, that's what I'm expecting to see. And then other times, I remember Fences did this too when that came out, and it was more just you're seeing Denzel and Viola Davis going back and forth, and it's just a conversation as much as it is, next summer. It's not that kind of trailer, but it's really moving, Rocha.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, just the trailer itself just puts you in the right mood and atmosphere for what this movie is going to deliver. And once again, you got Barry Jenkins coming with something very unusual and unique in the medium of film. And just you see these directors that understand their art and understand how to bring out the artistry within their films just from the trailer alone. So I just love the fact that we're going to get Superman versus Batman in this way. It's going to be Chazelle versus Jenkins all over again to see who's going to get nominated for the Oscar, who's going to win Best Picture again. It's just, you can just sense that vibe, which we'll get to a little bit later.
Could be an award contender as well, but we digress, and now we go to Perri Nemiroff for her second most anticipated movie of the year. What's on tap?
My second most anticipated of the year is Bad Times at the El Royale. Talk about a promotional campaign that is just crushing it. This movie was not on my radar at all until that first trailer, and then the second I watched it, that looks like a blast. I want to just live in that universe with this crazy ensemble cast. And, ever since that second trailer drop that we just got very recently, maybe it's because of the whole Drew Goddard Cabin in the Woods thing, but I've kind of gotten a little obsessed with trying to figure out what's really going on behind the scenes. And, we're like reading into the log line and trying to figure out who management really is, if they are anything beyond just management. And I don't know, sometimes you set certain expectations and it's a bummer when they're not met. But in this case, at this point in time, my mind is going in so many different directions and having so much fun with so many different scenarios that could wind up being the real story behind this feature. I'm just so excited about it.
Okay, John Rocha.
Yep.
No surprise that we got another movie that could have a lot of violence, if not a total horror theme with that. I've certainly enjoyed the trailers. I'm very curious to see what twists and turns we are not yet privy to once we actually see the movie.
Someday we need to get Perri on a couch and find out what happened. here. No,
I think Dewey will cough up the information before Perri will.
Or a hairball.
I really feel like the horror filmmakers I know that have made like the craziest stuff are really just the most gentle, kind-hearted people too.
And you're absolutely right, because meeting Guillermo del Toro, that's a life-size teddy bear, and you can't believe that he can create such incredibly such incredible horror, such deep horror from his mind, because he's such an incredibly nice and warm guy. So yeah, but this looks to me one-place movies scare me. They make me hesitant because I haven't always enjoyed them.
I got tired at the Hateful Eight.
Me too.
I feel fatigued.
Absolutely.
Did not happen with the comedy classic Clue. But it has happened with movies that are all in one location. That's a great point.
I like how you like to shove that in. It's not a comedy classic in any way, shape, or form. It's a cult classic.
Adam, you can go ahead and make his shot.
Wait, bring that camera back on me. Yeah, there we go. No, but like Identity was interesting, the John Cusack one. So it could have that vibe. So, but there's so many people that I respect, whose opinions I respect, are so excited about this movie and about this trailer, about this promotional campaign, as Perri said. So to me, that makes me go, okay, maybe I'll have a good time. Let's see, because I really like all the actors involved in this. So hopefully the script is fantastic and it takes you on an interesting trip.
Well, speaking of horror movies, John Rocha's number 2 hopes to lick up the October competition. That is Venom. Why?
Yes, Venom. No, it isn't Venom. It is actually burying the lead. It is Bumblebee. That is my second anticipated film. I am as shocked as you are to hear that come out of my mouth. It is a film that I think is going to change people around about the Transformers franchise who've been complaining about it for multiple years now, who really want to go back to that heart that they saw in the animated series that made them fall in love with Transformers. And you see this already. The extra footage we got to see at Comic-Con was incredible. The John Cena storyline looks to be interesting with Haley Stanfield's storyline. Haley Stanfield's scene with Bumblebee in the garage, the extended scene which we saw at Comic-Con, is so moving and heartfelt. And you get that she's coming out of a loss herself. He is stranded on Earth. What's their connection going to be? And then you get these new Transformers, these new Decepticons rather, coming in. How's that going to work? So to me, listen, as a person who's loved the Transformers film and loved the animated series, finally, people who've been complaining about these films, I can actually sit back with them with my arms around their shoulders and enjoy a Transformers movie with them as well, because I have a feeling this is going to be incredible, and Travis Knight seems to be hitting all the right buttons for the people who've been desperate to see a really good Transformers movie that recaptures the magic from the Transformers in their childhood.
It was a great political stumping speech you just gave. Perri, I think that Bumblebee can surprise people, and I hope it does. I think Travis Knight, great storyteller. I like his visual style, and I enjoyed this trailer. For Rocha to say that this movie is going to change people's minds about the other Transformers movies, not going to happen.
I don't think. Did I say that? I don't mean to imply that. I don't mean that.
I just mean how it's going forward.
Yeah, going forward. Yes, I think people are going to have more faith in the brand going forward.
Bumblebee could be Citizen Kane meets The Godfather meets Predator, and
That's
it's
incredible.
not going to change my mind on the previous 5 installments. But Bumblebee is something that I have to admit I do have a lot of optimism for. How about you?
I'm right there with you on that one. And I, normally I'd be like, you're crazy. That's never going to happen.
True.
But yeah, I didn't get to see that footage in Hall H, but I did get a slight feeling of that in just the trailer alone. So I'm rooting for it. I'm a fan of Travis Knight, and it looks like they might have gotten back to good Transformers film territory now.
And I think Haley Stanfield, this will be the one that vaults her into stardom, like super stardom.
John Cena in this too.
John Cena.
From the Wild wild world of wrestling.
That's
Excited
right.
about this?
This is surprising to me. Remember when Hulk Hogan tried to break into movies and it was
Suburban
terrible?
Commando,
But you see Batista doing this. You see Cena doing this. Obviously, The Rock laid the groundwork, and it's happening more and more. Don't be surprised. This Miz guy, the Miz from Miz and Maurice, don't be surprised if Mike,
Are we
the
talking
Miz,
about like real world Miz? Or
yeah, Real World Miz, who is a champion right now, Perry, and has a reality show with his wife, Maurice, who was a former wrestler, or she's coming back now. And so it chronicles their life on USA. Don't be surprised if this guy, who's been slowly making these like kind of B movies, slides into some feature film A-list stuff. The guy has what it takes.
Hey, look, say what you want about wrestling, but
Yeah.
you need incredible mic skills and a amazing ability to capture an audience
Yeah.
when you are a professional wrestler, and you can see how that would translate to the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, there's examples, more I think pro than con, of even at least wrestlers popping in. But I think John Cena's a guy where even seeing him in something like Blockers, where
Yeah.
he was hysterical.
He's very funny.
So I'm excited to see him in Bumblebee. And now it's time for our gold medalist, our most anticipated movies of the fall. And for the reveal of number one, I kick it back to John Rocha.
Whoa,
You
really?
got to go number one, yeah.
Look, I know what I mentioned earlier. Aquaman, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Bumblebee. These are nice populist films. But there's always an Oscar contender that when I see the trailer, I go, this is the one that I cannot wait to see. This is the one that's going to mess me up and it's going to be an incredible experience. First Man, the second trailer just came out. Damien Chazelle's First Man. There is something about this that just overwhelms me in this way, and that is, it feels like a real authentic slice of Americana that also explores what the sacrifice is for these people who do the things that they do to take us to as far as we can go as humans, out into space, on the moon, walking on the moon. What was the price for that? What did it take? What was the sacrifice? Who got hurt in the process? What were the things you had to overcome? And these are the reasons why I enjoy these movies, these epic movies, because they show you the strength and the determination that human beings can possess. And you see this here with Ryan Gosling. You see this here with Claire Foy. I love her character just in the trailers, how powerful she is, asking questions, not taking no for an answer, wanting people to understand the price that everyone is paying for this to happen. And you need that. And then I think Damien Chazelle, this is leveling up. This, Whiplash, La La Land, kind of smaller films. La La Land, yes, big musical numbers, but really a smaller film. He's now gone to a larger scale here, but still retained the independent feel of the relationships in his movies with this relationship to Claire Foy and Ryan Gosling. So all around, this feels to me like this is going to be a massive favorite to win Best Picture, and Ryan Gosling may get that Best Actor Oscar off this movie. And don't be surprised if Claire Foy gets nominated as well.
Yeah, I think First Man, a worthy number one selection for any film goer this fall. I thought the trailer was incredible as well, for all the reasons Rocha said. It's an amazing story. I do want there to be like a 10-minute scene in the movie towards the end, but it's just Neil running his line by Michael Collins and by Buzz Aldrin. Like, what do you guys think? One tiny step for me? That's one tiny step. You like small better than tiny?
Yeah,
T is
works?
more of a punchy word, so maybe that'll get more. I just wonder, how long did he think? I don't think he improvised it. If he improvised it, he's like on a level.
He might have.
With like Robin Williams, of just being able to like, do you think he told Buzz and he's like, hey guys, I'll come up with something when I'm out there.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm fine.
Don't pressure me. I'll come up with something. I'll feel it when I'm out there. I'll feel it when I'm out there.
And I left my keys somewhere. Perry, First Man, worthy number one for you?
Big time, yeah. I really wanted that to be in my list too, but limited to 3 spots. It's not quite there yet, but who knows? Maybe it'll be one of my favorite movies of the year at the end of TIFF, because yet again, another major priority, especially coming off of Whiplash and La La Land. Damien Chazelle, I think, is one of the most talented directors out there right now, and teaming up again with Ryan Gosling and Claire Foy too, because even though I don't watch The Crown, I finally come to appreciate her in other things I've seen her in. Well, one day it'll happen. One day.
You got to get on it.
Just not tomorrow. But I'm really excited, and I think this has a whole ton of potential.
Yeah, I thought Claire Foy was great in Unsafe too.
Yeah, and it was hard to leave off the other Claire Foy
There's another Claire Foy.
The girl with the dragon's web.
Oh,
is that
yeah.
What is it? Is that
It's the
girl in the dragon.
girl in the spider's web.
Okay, the girl in the spider.
Dragon's web.
That looked
Why do you get me
good.
tripped up with dragons?
Sorry,
Just there.
dragons.
Yeah.
That looks good. That almost made my list as well because that trailer looks incredible and she looks really powerful.
I thought about putting that on the list too because of Fede Alvarez.
Yeah, Fede. Yeah.
Yeah, fun fact about the old Collider Studios, where we used to be based in Burbank, California. That was the same warehouse where in 1969 they filmed the Moonlight. I'm just kidding. It actually happened. Perry, number one for you.
Stop
I do
it.
think it actually happened. I'm pretty sure. Perry, number one for you. This is fall.
It's a big deal.
This is your kind of flick. Now you've already taken Bad Times at El Royale. You've already taken Hellfest. So I'm looking at the movies that you might be excited about. I'm thinking there's only one potential answer, and that is The Nun.
It's not okay for my list to have so much, crazy horror or slasher type stuff in it. So that's why I went with Halloween.
Yeah, smart choice.
I just had to have it at the top of my list. I am flipped movie right now, and I think I've been very excited about it since it was first announced because it felt like a really inspired choice to have Blumhouse unite with David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, which is just something that I did not expect whatsoever. And as the cast started to come together, it just seemed like a really interesting package for a slasher sequel. But now that we're less than a week away from the premiere at TIFF, because I will be there and you will get my reaction immediately after. But just the thought of Halloween, a Halloween movie opening at the Toronto Film Festival is mind-blowing to me and suggests that Blumhouse and the folks in charge have a ton of faith in this. And based on what we saw at San Diego Comic-Con, it just looks like they capture the shooting style and the tone, and they understand that Nick Castle's original, The Shape, and what he was meant to be and how he was supposed to move. So I love the idea of getting a modern version of Halloween with a Laurie Strode who's much older and suffering from PTSD, but that still sticks to what made that original movie so special, which I think none of the other Halloween movies have been able to tap into very well.
Rocha, I think if you can question some other movies on Perry's list,
sure.
Halloween is in a different category all by itself. So much anticipation, so much hype. I am thrilled about seeing this movie soon.
Listen, I'm still recovering from that scene they showed at Hall H. That is one of the most unsettling experiences I've had in a long time, and it was literally 2 or 3 minutes. Just the fact that, and you all haven't seen this, but it's basically you essentially riding behind Jason's head Michael Myers' head, and you can't do a damn thing about what he's doing. And the violence and the viciousness, which I was afraid they were going to make for jokes or they were going to not go all the way with, they really did. And they really went there all around. And, it's great to see that them recapturing the vibe of the first movie, the fear, the fact that anybody could die at any moment at this maniac's hands, it's just he's an inevitable thing. And once they captured that correctly in this scene, I just sat back and was like, man, I'm scared out of my mind, and I can't wait to go see this thing and be like shivering in a chair.
Okay, just for correction purposes, what is the name of the killer in the first Halloween?
Michael Myers.
No, we're actually looking for Jason's mom.
Damn it.
She was actually wrecking carnage in that movie as well. Jason's
What?
mom.
She climbed out of Crystal Lake and then went out to Jason. That's insane.
She's kind of like Santa Claus, like a very evil Santa Claus, just goes house to house.
I do want to ask a question though, Perry. Does it bother you that they're removing the brother-sister connection?
No,
it's been canon for so long.
Even though I don't think any of the other Halloween movies have ever lived up to the original, there are definitely ones that I enjoy watching and rewatching. We just did Halloween H2O because it celebrated its anniversary, and I still really enjoy that movie. But, at first when they said the retcon thing, it almost felt like cheating to me, and it felt unfair, and it felt like it just felt wrong to me that you could completely just, on a dime remove years and years of work in a franchise. But the more I thought about it, the opportunity to continue the Halloween franchise with so much creative freedom, that right there is how we're going to get a good sequel. So I think if they made that decision, they're doing it for the right reasons.
I hope they do the same thing with Terminator. What they're talking about.
I love the evolution of cinematic whiteout, as it were, where you can just take something to paper and just getting rid of it, because you're right, but to be fair, the decision wasn't made on a dime to, it was tough to take Halloween in any direction other than we just got to go back back. We got to retcon some stuff. So the fact that filmmakers have the freedom to do that, hopefully it's well executed. Is it like fact for sure canon that we know that they're not doing the brother-sister connection?
Yeah.
They even make a joke about it in the trailer.
Right, because it was mentioned, because it was canon in the second movie. So since it wasn't canon in the first, they're picking up after the first, it's not canon.
But it could be made canon again.
Sure, it could be.
Plays out in this movie.
Possibly.
All right, I'll go see the movie, and we'll report back, spoiler-free, of course. Well, my number one movie, the most anticipated of the fall, is something that, man, there's certain movies that you watch, and they just get in your heart, and they never leave. And for me, this franchise just keeps on chewing. And no, I'm not talking about Star Wars or some sort of comic book movie franchise. I'm talking about way back in 1976, John Avildsen and some guy named Sly Stallone made a movie. And now, I don't know, 1,000 years later in 2018, we get yet another film in the storied history of the Rocky franchise with Creed 2. Hit the music.
I don't remember the music.
Well, thanks for putting your hands over the microphone just to. We practiced this for 45 minutes. You're getting there. It's like watching Rocky try to climb the steps at the beginning of Rocky. It's just not quite there. So this movie is something that I am so pumped about anyway, because I can't wait to see Michael B. Jordan back as Adonis Creed. You get to see Sly Stallone in there. And then you talk about who the opponent's going to be. And if you saw the trailer, if you saw any of the reporting that we've done on the movie the last couple of years, you know that the last shot of said trailer says Drago. That's right. Ivan Drago. His kid is going to be fighting Adonis Creed. It seems so insane that I just said that on like a show that I take semi-seriously. I'm not making a joke. This is actually happening. Who would have thought when Rocky IV came out that umpteen years later we were going to get the son of Apollo and the son of Ivan Drago. This is like, and this is just me on Labor Day thinking about how excited I am for this movie. Yeah. I have to wait until Thanksgiving to check this out. Oh my God, am I crazy, or is this going to be awesome?
Awesome is a tough word. I'm hoping it'll be awesome. My concern is Stallone wrote the script, and when Stallone writes the script on the sequels, it can be kind of scary.
Adam cut his mic.
Because Rocky 3 and 4 are fun, but they aren't Creed. Creed, you could argue Creed was the best film in the Rocky series, including the original. And that tells you the amount of artistry that Ryan Coogler brought to a film or a franchise that was 6 movies deep. That was the 6th movie in that franchise, or 7th movie in that franchise, right? If you couldn't Rocky Balboa and Rocky 5, which Rocky doesn't want to talk about, or Stallone says never existed now. You see this and you're like, okay, this is how many franchises are still kicking, still have this kind of attention and love now into the 8th movie, and it's incredible. So I'm hoping that it's awesome. I want it to be awesome with every fiber of my being, but it scares me that they're going back to the well of Drago. Because what's the next one? Clubber Lang's son? Like what are we walking into? It's what?
Hey woman. Clubber Lang calling out. Right.
Hey woman.
Stephen Cable Jr. directs the movie, taking over for Ryan Coogler. And when you see what Ryan Coogler has been able to do, what he did previously to Creed, Perry, he's a tough director to replace. Stephen Cable Jr., is he up to the task? Do you think the movie looks up to the task thus far in the clips you've checked out?
Thus far, I think it looks good. I loved Creed. I really like the Rocky franchise, but I'm just not attached to it the same way as you are. Many other people I know, but when Creed came on the scene, that really, like, it dug its claws in, and it made me really hyped for a sequel. But when you swap directors like that, I think that's probably the main reason right now I can't put it on my most anticipated list. That's not to say I don't think Stephen Cable Jr. can't do a great job too. Yeah, he most certainly could, but to follow up what we got in that first movie is a very, very tall order. So that's just why a degree of skepticism right now, but so far so good with the promotional campaign.
Okay, did I mention that Dolph Lundgren is coming back in some form as Ivan Drago? Does that now make it your number one for y'all too?
That would help Aquaman. It helps Aquaman. I don't know if it helps Rocky. My concern is that you don't see Balboa in any of the clips in that final fight. Is Rocky going to die in this movie, or is he going to be knee-deep in cancer treatment so that he can't attend the fight? So I'm a little worried, because I'm telling you something right now, Mark. What Stallone was able to capture, in every one of these films, he is able to find these moments of real emotion in this character that shows you Sylvester Stallone is a damn good actor. In Balboa, when he tells Paulie about the stuff, what's in the stuff, you know the stuff, and he starts to cry thinking about that he still has one more thing to prove and missing Adrian, it's so powerful. In Creed, when he talks about how, yeah, that stuff with my wife, it didn't really help, and she died, and that, you're just like, damn, you know, and having been someone who lost someone to cancer, it's like powerful as hell. So if they capture that in some form, in some scene in that movie, it's going to vault it for me into the upper echelon of the series. So I hope they do.
Right. Well, you heard it from all three of us. We agree. Creed 2 going to be the greatest movie of 2018. Go ahead and collect the Best Picture Oscar right now for both the Best Popular Movie and the Best Film of the Year. Thank you guys for tuning in, and let us know in the comments section what you think is going to be the best movie of 2018. Which ones are you most anticipating? Is your heart on fire for Halloween like Perry? Do you have a strong desire to see whatever Rocha's number one was? What
First
was your
Man.
number one again?
First Man. Going to space.
Guy went to space,
Going
but
into space.
did his daddy get killed in the ring? And then did he decide to avenge his daddy by fighting that daddy's son? Yeah, it's going to be something. The fall's going to be a lot of fun. Perri Nemiroff, where can all the kids find you?
Twitter and Instagram at P Nemiroff. Watch Collider on social media, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. The main Collider video YouTube channel, and also Collider Quick, because we're going to have a ton of reviews out of TIFF for you.
All right, and apologies to John Rocha. We're running short on time, so we're just going to say where
Bum,
can the
bum,
kids find
ba-da. Now, you guys can find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. I hope you're having a great time today, enjoying your hot dog or your hamburgers with your family, with your friends. Enjoy Labor Day, relax, have a good time. You all work hard. Also, don't forget, for those of you who are massive sports fans, Florida State plays Virginia Tech tonight. Watch that. But also, watch our draft. The Collider Sports Time Fantasy Draft happened. The episode is up now on the Collider Sports channel, not the Collider video channel, Collider Sports YouTube channel. Go there, subscribe. Go to the podcast feed, subscribe on the Collider Sports podcast feed as well. So much sports content, and I'm very happy and blessed to be one of the people involved with spearheading this. So please go there and watch that stuff. Trust me, the draft is going to be worth it. So go watch that today and gather your friends around and have a good time laughing at it and laughing at us.
All right, looking at the line right now, it looks like it's FSU favored by 7.5 over Virginia Tech.
Yeah, well, if you want to hear the lines and some college football lines, Josh McCoga is doing a show. It came out on Friday. Go find it on the Collider Sports channel. He will help you bet for the weekend and get you ready.
Didn't even know I was setting you up for that.
No, there you go.
Good luck to you. Good luck to great running back Cam Akers and everybody at Florida State. And go Deeks! The Wake Forest team of Deacons going to surprise some folks in the ACC this year. You heard it here first and probably last. I'm Mark Ellis. You guys can find me on Twitter at Mark Ellis Live. Happy Labor Day, whether you're hanging out with other people or you're like me and you're just eating Carl's Jr. by yourself in a cave. We appreciate your patronage, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for a new episode of Collider Movie Talk. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.